Whether you're an intermediate guitarist or just starting out, today's lesson can completely change how you solo and create on the guitar. Too often we chase secret shortcuts or get lost down the YouTube rabbit hole when the real answer is right in front of us. Simplify. The great players, they lean on simple ideas like small pentatonics and straightforward but great sounding extensions from there. What's the real difference? They play them in a way that's memorable and creative. Today, we will simplify our approach and you'll see how the masters actually use these ideas to play great music. So today, we're gonna use a classic progression on an A minor backing track, and you can grab the diagrams and track from the link in the description below. So rather than turning on the track and mindlessly noodling over top, let's first listen to the backing track. As I said, this one is in A minor, but let's listen to the rhythm first. Okay, so it's a classic groove. The drums are playing a ride cymbal. Notice that kick on beats 1 and 3. The snare on beats 2 and 4. So this stuff, it really lines us up to notice what the band is actually playing. And if we were to feel out that count, it'd be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go ahead, we'll listen to the chord progression, also known as the harmonic rhythm of the song. That's like the speed in which those chords move. So this particular progression is 4 bars or 4 measures long, and it just repeats over and over. So we have 4 beats of an A minor, 4 beats of a G, 4 beats of an F, and 4 beats of an E minor. And really, you could play any version of these chords that you know if you'd want to practice the chords along with a downloadable track. Now, something really interesting here, this chord progression, it fits perfectly into the A natural minor key, meaning it's all the natural notes, right? No sharps, no flats. So all the things that we talk about in this particular lesson are going to use ideas that will work perfectly in songs like, say, Stairway to Heaven, All Along the Watchtower, Love Song by The Cure, and countless others that use, this kind of progression in the standard guitar repertoire. So feel free to leave a comment below if you think of any other great songs that use similar progressions. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to play a little bit of a melody over top. But let's start with a small set of notes using the diagonal pentatonic on the middle 2 strings. So notice that I don't start my melodic soloing on the fat strings. Really, they're so bassy, it will just sound kind of tubby and it won't cut through like I want, okay? But the cool thing is, the diagonal method allows me to find the root note on any string set that I would like. So in this case, let's go ahead, we're gonna grab that root note at the 7th fret of the D string, and I'm gonna grab it with my ring finger. That's that A, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw in that flat 7 below that. It's G on the 5th fret, okay? Now, that's what I call a 2-note set, and you'd be surprised at how much music you can make with just those 2 notes. You can slide, you can hammer, you can pull off so many great options. So on the following string, we will have a 3-note set. That's gonna be frets 5, 7, and 9. Okay, that's C, D, and E in this key. We now have a full A minor pentatonic scale. But don't worry, in this particular lesson, we're not just gonna stick with the minor pentatonic. I'll show you how to decorate this particular pattern with other notes as well. Now, I wanted to take just a quick moment and say recently, I realized that over 80% of you are still not subscribed to the channel. I wanted to ask that if you would take a moment to go ahead and click that subscribe button. I promise, as a thank you, I will continue to try and make the absolute best guitar lessons online that I possibly can for you and the rest of the guitar community. Thanks for doing that. Now we have a full 2-3 pattern of the diagonal pentatonic scale. A lot of times guitarists will keep searching and trying to play the entire scale across the whole neck, assuming that there's more music in those other locations. But the important thing to realize is that you can make a ton of great music right here with just these 5 notes. So I actually challenge you to practice working on the core decorations that take the basic scale notes and turn them into real music. So the first one's gonna be slides. So notice that I could actually hold a note and, hold one a little extra long, let it keep sustaining. And then whenever I feel like it, I can go ahead and I can slide into that next note. Or I could do a grace note slide. That's where you don't even really hear the first note. And of course, we can slide between any of the notes of the scale because those will pretty much always sound great. But I also highly recommend sliding from 1 fret below, that's towards the headstock, any of the notes of the scale. This is so powerful and it makes your playing sound so much more interesting. Kind of like this. Okay, next up, hammer-ons. So hammer-ons can come in a similar kind of rhythm to slide. Just like slides, you can hold the first note as long as you want and hammer whenever to the next. Or, as we did before, you can do that grace note kind of hammer-on, where you hardly even really hear the starting note. So I challenge you to find all of the different hammer-ons that you can find in that area. Even the stretched one. How about now a few pull-offs? It's really another great decoration. And it's really just the backwards version of the hammer-on. They're a little bit harder for most guitarists, but they sound fantastic and are worth isolating in your practice. Okay, so in the practice room, it's really important to limit yourself with what I call constraints practice. That's where you target your weaknesses. Let's say your hammer-ons need some work. Spend some time there. If your slides aren't great, focus on those. All right. Let me show you a little more about the power of the diagonal pentatonic. So instead of sticking to just these middle strings, let's shift up to the 2 thinner strings. And the coolest part about this is I can just literally copy and paste this 2-3 pattern up an octave, and the only adjustment really is on the B string. So basically you have to push the entire pattern up 1 fret because of the tuning of the guitar. So that means that on the B string, it's gonna be frets 8 and 10. That's my 2-note set. And on the high E string, it's gonna be 8, 10, and 12. Okay, so here is the absolute best part. any licks or sounds that you liked on these middle strings, you can literally copy and paste them into this higher octave. And that's gonna instantly multiply the number of licks that you have in the diagonal pentatonic. And now I want to take a moment to introduce you to the sponsor of today's video, my full diagonal pentatonic method. This method is such a core ingredient in how I approach the guitar that I turned it into an entire course. It teaches you how to play confidently in any key, anywhere on the guitar neck, using a simple system that lets you copy and paste not only pentatonics, but also blue notes and other tools like I'm showing you today. As a thank you for watching this video, you can go ahead and get 20% off right now with the coupon code SELFDOUBT or by just clicking the link in the description below. I look forward to seeing you in the lessons. All right, so we're up on the two thinnest strings of this diagonal pentatonic scale. Let's go ahead and add in some extra colorful notes from the full 7-note minor scale. Now this is kind of interesting. Technically, the 7-note minor scale that fits this progression is called the Aeolian mode. You might have heard of it. Also known as the natural minor scale, and sometimes even the relative minor. All of those names are literally the same thing. And isn't it funny how guitar lingo can get so confusing so quickly? Okay, so first, let's add the second note of the full A minor scale into the pentatonic. So by design, the minor pentatonic doesn't include a second or a sixth. It's just the root, the flatted third, the 4, the 5, and the flat 7. Back to the root, okay? But the 2 is a really awesome note that works all over chords in this particular progression. You can find it by going a whole step above the root of the diagonal pattern, right? So that's right here. That's the 10th fret of the B string. And if we want to get that 2, we're going to go up to the 12th fret of the B. Really nice. You will hear really great guitar players use this all the time. It's a beautiful color note. You can slide into it, you can hammer on it, or even pull off. It's just so nice. So now we essentially have what I would call a little 3-3 pattern rather than a 2-3 pattern. And you can use it across the neck since everything copies and pastes so nicely using this diagonal system. So that's that diagonal pattern going from the thickest strings all the way to the thinnest strings there in 3 different sets or 3 different octaves. I wouldn't spend a lot of time on those 2 fat strings, but that's okay. Okay, so I think that just sounds fantastic and is super usable. Let's add one more note that fits the chord progression beautifully. That's gonna be F natural. In the key of A minor, that's the flatted 6th. And the easiest place to find this is just a half step above the 3-note set. Really cool, right? So fair warning though, just because a note is in the scale doesn't mean that it's always great to land on. So my recommendation is to treat this note as a passing or tension note. So you could slide into it from the E note below, or maybe back down, or a really great one that's a really fantastic sound is bending up into it and then releasing. Just a half step bend. Okay, so one better even, if you're paying attention to the chord changes, you can totally land on the F when the F chord happens. That's the G. Here's the third bar. And then you want to resolve it, right? So we have our A minor, G major, there's the F, and then I resolve to the E on the E minor chord, right? That just sounds so great. And so now we've got this full 7-note A natural minor scale using the diagonal system. You can play it totally across the neck. And as long as you're paying attention to the sounds that you're making over each of the chords, you're gonna sound great. My recommendation is to start with the pentatonic as your home base and then add the extra notes as flavor. Now that you're gaining confidence in the diagonal minor pentatonic, make sure to watch this video next to confidently connect diagonals anywhere on the guitar neck using the 3-fret shift.